$42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
It's time for the Jay Foreman Postgame Show.
Here's Coy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score!
A look to the left, and he kind of telegraphed it all the way. When the ball was tipped, Foreman's in the right spot.
Sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Tavern 180, Vinnie Creekhack of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical.
Here's Fuente dropping back, fires a pass, and it's intercepted by the Huskers at the 25, Jay Foreman. And Foreman takes it down to the 19-yard line of Oklahoma. Another big play by the Black Shirts.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There you have it, Husker fans. Nebraska, for the first time since 2016, bowl eligible with a 44-25 victory over the Wisconsin Badgers. This is the Jay Foreman postgame show. However, Jay Foreman will be here in just a moment, making his way over from Memorial Stadium within, I would say, the next 3-4 minutes or so. Nick Sainert with you. Jay will join me here in just a second as Nebraska wins 44-25 over the Wisconsin Badgers. Not to mention they beat the Badgers of Wisconsin for the first time since 2012. So a lot of monkeys off the back here for Husker football and Husker football fans, as once again, for the first time since 2016, when Nebraska played in the Music City Bowl, they will be going to a bowl game in the year 2 of Matt Rule and company, and game 2 of Dana Holgorsen as well. Man, the offense looked a lot better than maybe it has the last couple of weeks. Let's go through some of the stats before Jay gets here and brings all the insight. Dylan Raiola, I would go out on a limb and say best performance as a Husker so far. Dylan Raiola, 28 of 38 through the air for 293 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He completes 74% of his passes. And then how about this little nugget for you, Husker fans? Emmett Johnson, 16 carries, 113 yards rushing, no scores, but averaged 7.1 yards per carry. That's Emmett Johnson there for you. The first time that Nebraska has had a single game 100-yard or more rusher in a single game since, guess who? Quarterback Chubba Purdy of last season when Nebraska played Wisconsin on the road up in Madison. And Emmett Johnson, the first single game 100-yard rusher since quarterback Chubba Purdy last season there. Dante Dowdell added 10 carries, 41 yards, 3 touchdowns to his name. And we saw once again Ja'Cory Barney Jr. Kind of asserting himself, continuing to establish himself as Dylan Raiola's go-to target later in the season as well. 9 catches on 10 targets for 85 yards. I thought Nebraska did a really good job of getting Ja'Cory the ball. They did that touch pass, that little jet pass early in the game that he got a nice gain on as well. I think that was his longest reception of the day, and it was 21 yards there. But no, once again, Ja'Cory Barney Jr., 9 catches, 85 receiving yards, no touchdowns, but on 10 targets, catching 90% of his passes. Emmett Johnson had 6 catches on six targets as well. Jamal Banks with a 1 touchdown catch of the day for the Huskers on 4 catches and 52 yards while getting targeted 7 times. I think more importantly, one thing I certainly want to get Jay's thoughts on here in just a moment is going to be the fact that Nebraska, take away where they turned it over on downs there in the last possession of the game, right? Take away that piece of it where they turn it over on downs and they kneel things out. Nebraska scored on 6 consecutive drives. 6 consecutive drives, Nebraska found points, whether it was field goal. Shout out to John Hull. He's made, I believe, 8 field goals in a row now, which if you would have said that to a lot of Husker fans, I think at the beginning of the season or even halfway through the season when we kind of saw the writing on the wall that Tristan Alvano was going to be out for a substantial amount of time, that John Hull at one point would make at least 7 straight field goals, you would have called all of us crazy. And then we couldn't have, blamed you for that. But at this point right now, John Hull, right, looks like a pretty, sufficient kicker at that as he drains 3 for 3 today and goes perfect on extra points as well. Nebraska, though, like I mentioned, since the 3:17. So they started a drive in the second quarter at the 3-minute and 17-second mark in the first half. And this was really when I felt like the game got turned on its head, right? Was when this drive started. Nebraska, in 3 minutes exactly, goes down in 10 plays, 76 yards, and scores a touchdown. And then on the very next possession for Wisconsin, they end up fumbling it, and Nebraska gets it back with just over 10 seconds remaining in the first half. That's when it really felt like the game kind of turned on its head, because Nebraska went from leading, I believe it was 14-10. At that point, they went to, in a matter of, a couple of seconds, less than a minute of game time, they go to lead, 24-10 at the half. And Nebraska would then come out and they would score on their first 4 possessions. They had 5 possessions total, but their first 4 possessions of the second half, right? Where you force a Wisconsin you force a Wisconsin punt, then you turn them over on downs, and then obviously more traditional and conventional sets of just a touchdown off the kickoffs from Wisconsin. But I mean, give Nebraska credit, give this offense credit. We told Jay and I talked about it in the pregame show from the Kindler Hotel, that this offense, Dylan Raiola specifically, right, needs to go out and show them who he is. Show them who Dylan Raiola is, who kind of every Husker fan was expecting going into the season, because we had seen flashes, but consistent 4 quarters of football had not seen it quite yet from the freshman quarterback. But hey, man, Dylan Raiola had himself a nice day. By the way, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys the entire show today. We will be here until about 7 o'clock before Austin takes over, as well as we continue our post-game coverage here on 93.7 The Ticket. Want to remind you guys that the Jay Foreman post-game show is always sponsored by our friends at Anderson Ford of Lincoln, State Farm and Vinnie Krekak of State Farm Insurance, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Action Plumbing, Heating, AC and Electrical, Tavern 180, and Tanner's Bar and Grill as well. So I want to thank those guys for hanging with us and sponsoring the Jay Foreman postgame show all season long. All right. Once again, Jay Foreman is here. Jay, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you, my friend, as Nebraska bowl eligible for the first time since 2016.
Yeah, 8 years is a long time, man. I mean, it's it never crossed my mind whether it be bowl eligible, but to be honest with you, I'm happy for the the guys that have been, here through some lean times, guys that were here at the beginning of Matt Rule, the transition from, I guess, Scott Frost / Mickey Joseph, Matt Rule, and being so close, but yet so far of last year, and some of the guys and all the guys that decided to come back, young guys that have came in, took a leap of faith, and obviously, happy for the coaches to be bowl eligible. It's a small step or a big step in the right direction, excuse me. And then you got to continue along this path. It's something to understand that, to get here, it was a lot harder than what people might think on the surface. And you had to have some guys play, a different type of football, and you had to really push them and demand some things out of them that they might not have wanted before. And, tonight was the payoff. You're paying, it couldn't set up. I mean, look, let's be honest. Nebraska should have probably been bowl eligible a couple weeks ago. More, you know what I'm saying? But that wouldn't happen. And for a team to stay, locked in, compete, do the things they need to do. And then obviously, look, it's senior day. It's the last one at home. You're facing the team that you hadn't beaten 10 years, and they just had changed the coordinators. And so you could take it as, a sign of desperation for them, or a sign of disrespect, by them, and essentially saying, we had a chance to change coordinators in the bye week, but let's see what we can do against Oregon with the same guy, and then fire him, that Sunday, because, it's a foregone conclusion that we beat Nebraska. And those guys, stepped up to the challenge. And, it was a pure domination game, a dominant game offensively and defensively. It wasn't the perfect game, but obviously it was a game where you felt like offensively, we were able to run and pass the ball, at a pretty good clip. And so for, the second week of this Dana Holgorsen offense, it looked, a lot better against, Wisconsin. Obviously, you could argue whether Wisconsin or USC is the better team, and, we'll see, at the end of the season. But ultimately, the offense looked, a lot better, and continue along the positivity from, last week as far as the flow of the offense, the positive things that you saw from the offense, plays flowing together, the physicality of the offensive line, I think, cannot go understated in the sense of running the ball. I felt like the offensive line blocked well. And then pass protection, I felt like they blocked well as well. And I think they probably have won the game. Then obviously, that you have, Dylan and obviously I felt like Emmett Johnson, and Dante Dowdell played well. But specifically, I felt like Emmett Johnson was and is that X factor. And then defensively, I think we played well enough. I think that, we played really well at times. And a couple times, after we got, I think, 17-point lead or whatever it was, maybe, low 20s, let them go down the field and kind of walk the ball on us. And so that's the, the maturity factor that we need to get to defensively. Also, you can't go without saying special teams was definitely special tonight. The first kickoff return, and I said it on the pregame show, and then obviously I said it on the Foreman 4, on my Jay Foreman 44 YouTube channel, is that look, you have nothing to lose. Sometimes you got to show up and show people who you are. And special teams, showed up with Barney, the very first kickoff return, and turned the tides and kind of got going, and the momentum never stopped. And when it seemed like possibly Nebraska couldn't continue along with the momentum, somebody stepped up and made a play offensively, defensively, and obviously special teams. And so it was a complete victory. And they're bowl eligible. It's something that definitely needs to be celebrated for them. Realistically, in the future, you don't want this to be this much excitement, but 8 years is a long time. So you want to give them a chance to, celebrate it. And then once that 24-hour rule hits, you want to make sure you're trying to get locked into Iowa because you're on a short week, and you want to try to parlay this positive momentum into, I would say, verification in the next week. And so, look for everybody that's thought and hoped and tried to plan to think about going to a bowl game. Nebraska probably will be going to a warm weather state as far as bowl game, for the simple fact that Nebraska travels extremely well. They hadn't been to a bowl game in 8 years, and probably will I guess the favorite or the I guess the line going into Iowa next week will be drastically changed based on how Nebraska played this week. And so, right now, in that locker room, is a lot of celebration. It's a great job by the younger players of, Dylan Raiola, Barney, obviously Emmett Johnson, and all those guys. Defensively, a few guys as well, of paying homage, honoring those older guys, and they've all been in through it, but the older guys have been here, obviously a year older, and to go out there and make some plays for them, and it goes without saying it's a huge accomplishment in a small but in a small blip on the radar screen, and it's something that's been plaguing Nebraska for quite some time. Nobody knew the answers, but ultimately you got to give the coaches and Matt Rule, a lot of credit in the sense of, hey, look, man, you were kind of, stuck on stupid a little bit, call in a familiar face, and he took the bull by the horns and was wanting to come in and jump into a unique situation. And then ultimately, defensively, you had some guys really step up and play well, to lead Nebraska to victory. And that's all you need. It doesn't matter how it looks. You just want to get the job done. Winning is winning. We'll figure out the optics and the way it looks after you celebrate your win.
With all that being said, I want to get Jay's thoughts on the offense specifically. But first, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the Jay Foreman Postgame Show, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
All right, Jay. So on that note, right, where you're sitting there, this isn't the standard. I mean, in a way it is, I guess, because Nebraska's making a bowl game for the first time in 8 years and since 2016. But you said, right, it should be celebrated, but this should be the expectation going forward now, because Nebraska has made it back to a bowl game. They got over that hurdle that they've been struggling to jump over for now 8 years. With that being said, you talked about it, calling a familiar face, and that's Dana Holgorsen that you're referring to. And there's a lot of positive conversation about Dana Holgorsen on the text line. And rightfully so, by the way, 402-464-5685. But on top of that, think about something that we've talked about multiple times over the last couple of weeks, over this 4-game skid especially. It's been guys stepping up, making plays when needed. Dylan Raiola's needed to play a little bit better, and he did so today. And you needed somebody to establish themselves in the running game, and Emmett Johnson was given the opportunity, and he did just that.
Hey, look, if there was ever a time for guys to answer the bell, when you know, whether your teammates called you out or you felt like you were called out to the coaches or whatever unique situations that you felt like you weren't getting your just due, and you showed a little bit of cojones growth where you said, you know what, I'm going to step up and show you. Tonight was night when you could think. Let's first and foremost look at Dylan Raiola, where he's like 28 of 38,
absolutely
293 yards, 7.7 yards per completion, 1 TD, no turnovers. Then you got Emmett, 16 carries, 113 yards, 7.1 yards a carry. 19 is the long, but otherwise, he's pounding the rock at you.
And in the receiving game as well.
Oh, we ain't even got there yet. We're gonna get ready.
Yeah.
He represented Minneapolis, Minnesota like to the fullest. Six catches, 85 yards. Did really well in pass protection, and so look, man, you got to understand that when you need to become bowl eligible, you need guys to step up. Emmett was one of them. Obviously has, young underclassmen. Dylan is the other defensively. And that's what you want. I mean, look, to go from essentially only scoring 13 points offensively last week against USC to turn around and score 44 points against Wisconsin, who held Oregon, who was one of the most prolific offenses in the nation,
that's right,
to 16 points. What we said last week on the postgame show, at least I felt like it, and I know you agreed with me, that the offense led by Dana Holgorsen would have an uptick in week 2. They ran the ball in conventional run plays a lot more than people think that Dana Holgorsen will or would, and they pounded. I mean, listen, this is what I like to call a belt to ass beating.
Yeah,
I mean, straight up, Nebraska could do whatever they want.
Well, and you said that in the pregame.
Nebraska could do whatever they want. They could run the ball. They were, efficient and effective in the pass game. And so they won it on the line of scrimmage. This game was won by the offensive line. I mean, let's give them credit. I mean, for all the way back to 5 years ago, they were the offensive line, and a lot of them are still here, on this present offensive line, taking a lot of shots, a lot of shots have been, thrown their way. Coach Donnie has came in and reset the standard and maximize their potential and production. And over the last month and a half, they've been playing some pretty dang good football. And tonight was no different, or today was no different. And that was, I think, the difference maker. And when you can have a running back to run for 113, 7.5 or 7.1 a carry, Dante Dowdell go from 41 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4.1 a yard or yards per carry, and overall you average 5 yards a carry. You're doing some good things. I don't care how young Wisconsin is across the defensive line. Just a week ago, you would probably think that they played one of the best defensive performance in Big Ten in the Big Ten season this year against Oregon, no matter if it's at home or away, on national TV, and turned around in Nebraska straight up kicked their butt. And something they should be happy about and celebrate, and they should be happy for themselves.
Let's see what some of the listeners have to say here, because we got a lot of comments flowing in on our Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Allo channel 961, all places for you guys to get in touch with the show there, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers text line 402-464-5685. All right, so let's just go down the list here, Jay, and stop me if you want to talk and mention something. Phil the Burn says, go Big Red, great game. SD73 says, I take back my overreaction from last week. Dana Holgorsen is the truth. Michael says, Dana seems to know a thing or two about coaching good offense. Ted says, GBR, everyone. The running game works when the passes and plays are called correctly. RJ says, Holgorsen needs a haircut and a money bag. We got Joel saying, go Big Red, woot woot, bowling baby. William was so proud, crying. Let's go, baby. So I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, it's a celebration tonight, right? And we have on the Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, Railroader Matt, pay Dana whatever he wants. Anthony says EJ needs an ice bath. He won this game for us. Play calling was on point the entire game. 5769 says we looked different. Nebraska looked physical, fast, and under control. Never once felt like they had the yips. And I think that was something where, and I mentioned it before but right before you got here, Jay, there was, something that needs to be kind of discussed and celebrated is the sustainability and consistency of Nebraska's offense from the 3:17 mark in the second quarter when they took over a possession. They were tied, it was 10-7 at one point. Nebraska scores a touchdown, goes up 14-10, and then goes up 21-10 rather. I apologize. Goes up 21-10, and then they get the fumble back before the first half ends, and they get a field goal out of it, right? And so quickly the game changes from a 14-10 ball game to a 24-10 ball game going into halftime. And ever since that touchdown that gave you your 21st points of the game, you scored on the next 5 possessions. You had 6 straight drives where you got points, and 3 of those were touchdowns, 3 of them were field goals, and give credit to John Hull there.
Yeah, you got to take away, you got to take advantage of another team's mishaps. For almost at least half a decade, and obviously probably even before a full decade, Nebraska has created some negative energy, negative plays going into half and coming out of halves, and teams that definitely take advantage of us. And so, tonight was a chance for Nebraska to drive the ball before half, considering that they weren't going to get the ball at the start of the second half, which is obviously really, really good thing to do. Get 7 points and then turn around, take advantage of a fumble, and then get an extra kind of bonus 3 points. And I call it really, Nick, 6 to 10 points, because those are that's the same drive or opportunity you want coming out of halftime. And so now you're able to come out at halftime really with a lot of energy and good mojo and get the ball back. And then obviously it was off to the races from there. And so to beat Wisconsin again after losing to them for 10 years straight, no matter how it looked or how it worked out, was a step in the right direction, and it needs to be applauded, to where they were actually, because there's been plenty of times Nebraska had situations like this. Quite frankly, last year or other times, especially under Frost, where you had a chance to really become bowl eligible if you start playing good football, and it just didn't happen, right? And it was a lot of things that maybe were facing Nebraska coming down the pipe this year. If quite frankly, you don't beat Wisconsin, it's a lot more pressure going on the road to try to beat Iowa to become bowl eligible. And so now you're bowl eligible. This should be the very high floor. What I mean by high floor, meaning this is the bare minimum, but this is a high floor. In certain circumstances need to happen for you to only be bowl eligible or become bowl eligible this late in the season moving forward. Not to minimize. All the guys in that locker room, all the coaches, the support staff, they were the ones that were able to find a way to get the job done. It looked bleak at times, losing to USC and UCLA in back-to-back weeks, or UCLA and USC in back-to-back weeks, and missing opportunities of teams that you felt like probably getting off the bus, you're as talented as, or better, you didn't get the job done. They were finally able to get the job done against a team that had their number, even less talented teams than this one that we faced tonight, and they were able to out-tough us, maybe out-culture us, whatever it may be. But Nebraska was able to step up and right that ship. And to be honest with you, it was kind of like the Nebraska basketball team against Creighton last night. From the very beginning, Nebraska dominated this game.
Yeah, Nebraska came out through the first punch, right? We talk about the importance of that. Nebraska comes out. They have a 6-play, 55-yard drive that consumed 2 minutes and 44 seconds of game time. Through the first punch, scored a touchdown, right? But then once again, Wisconsin did the same thing. They punched right back. Nebraska then punted, but then their defense stood up. Yep. They stepped up and forced a punt on their own right. And so every time Nebraska frankly, in the big scope of this game, they threw the first punch and consistently continued to throw punches. And every time Wisconsin tried to punch back, to use your analogy or your comparison of the Creighton game last night, every time that Wisconsin tried to get back into this one and make it a single or a one-possession ball game, they didn't. They weren't able to do it. And Nebraska, and part of that is the fumble right before halftime, obviously. But Nebraska was able to make them pay, and that was one of our keys when we talked in the pregame. Is this is a team, in Wisconsin that makes mistakes, right? Some of the guys that maybe they expected to be playing big minutes or a lot of the time, a lot of downs, isn't playing right now, or has been injured or walked away or retired, whatever it may be. And Nebraska was going to have opportunities to make them pay. Number one, they get an interception to kind of close out the game, but then also the fumbles early on in the game, they were able to make and get some sort of reward out of it.
Yeah, they did it all. They were able to get turnovers, obviously late in the game. They were able to, get the fumbles, the kind of mid part in the game. But then more importantly, they were able to, after that first drive, find a way to make adjustments on the fly and make some plays on second and manageable, and I call it third, and I have to have it. Man-to-man coverage, making some plays on the ball, timely tackles to keep them, in front of the first down marker, and then stopping them on fourth down. So it was like all the boxes were checked as far as this team. It was a full, it was definitely a team victory. It was coached hard. It was played hard. Nebraska was the dominant team from the very beginning. And so, like I said, this is something that they need to enjoy. I mean, look, when you haven't done something, I'm not going to be up here and say, you know what, and minimize it, but I'm not going to maximize it as well. It's something that for whatever reason, over 3 coaches, obviously Matt got it done in a very short time, so you could just say over 2 regimes weren't able to do it when things were either set up really, really good for Nebraska or should have done it and they didn't do it. Obviously there's a lot of things that need to be done, whether it's, administration, so forth and so on. So they need to enjoy this because it was part of the goal setting. Now, granted, just because it's a couple weeks late doesn't mean that you minimize it. So, okay, so you got over that hump. So now you can't sit in the locker room saying we can't do it or the situation's not right. The schedule, this, and this. The schedule is actually set up to be, in a different situation at this point. Now you got over the hump. Now you can really, really start having fun now. Now the mindset changes. Now you know what it's like to come into the locker room and actually reach something or attain a goal that we all set forth, or they all set forth, to achieve. Then you can start to see some of that. Now you can see, okay, when we talked about maybe you need to sacrifice a little bit, or we challenge you, like mentally and physically to do more or give more. Now you start to see some of the payoff. Maybe this is what kind of lights the bulb for a lot of players, and obviously changes the mindset of what you're doing. And then now it becomes a lot more fun, Nick. Now we say, you know what? We did something, we're bowl eligible. So now we're like, okay, well, you can start to think, okay, we're going this bowl, this bowl. Cause we had the Cheez-It Bowl up here early in the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Consistently.
Right. They've been up here, right? So we might be going to Phoenix,
there
right? Oh, but then now we get to go to Iowa and really, really, hey, when you talk about we get to go to Iowa, a cold game, 6:30 at night, and turn up like never before. To shove it down Iowa in their face. Oh, this could really, really like loosen you up. But then, look, man, it's definitely, they look like a different team than last week. Looks like they, look, Wisconsin's not obviously Ohio State or nothing, but look, when you have lost to a team 10 years in a row, when Nebraska had full control of the game last year and had full control of the games of other years, but you found a way.
Oregon jersey.
Oregon jersey right there. You found ways to lose.
Yeah.
And when you play a game right now, when the schedule, the situation, the times of the games, the home games, the preseason hype was set up for you to be maybe 8-2 at this point, 7-3. And your back's against the ball, a lot of pressure. You had a offensive coordinator relieved of his duties. You had a guy come in from another school to be the play caller. It's always would have. Here we go, the same thing. And to step up to this point, 44-25. For a lot, look, man, it couldn't be any better. I said this on Old School. I said, listen, man, if I'm a senior right now, it's my last game, and I got to become bowl eligible. I would want it no other way, because I'm a competitor. I want Wisconsin. I want to get the double. I call it the daily double, Nick. You know what the daily double is?
What's that?
It's not something that you get out there at Warhorse Casino, right? You know what the daily double is? Not only am I going to beat Wisconsin on senior day, I'm gonna become bowl eligible. That's the daily double. I woke up and get the daily double. So, I'm happy for those guys and happy for the fans walking over here from the stadium. I'm telling you, man, like, somebody was behind me. I didn't turn around and look. They were like, hey, this is a big deal. We haven't been able to go to a bowl game in 8 years.
Yeah.
He's like, I gladly will buy those tickets. Gladly.
Mm-hmm. It's a massive. I mean, and that's the thing is Jay's done a good job of kind of talking about it. Celebrate it while it's here. Matt Rule said this was his first one. First comment said, quote, "This will be the last time we ever celebrate 6 wins." So there you have it. So, I mean, bold quotes, right? Bold comments coming from a coach that just helped snap Nebraska's 8-year bowlless streak. But I would ask you this, Jay, right before we go to break, how much of the monkey off the back pressure reliever, how about that? Let's see if we can get, there we go. There it is.
I like that suit.
There it is.
Yeah, that suit was pretty sweet.
But what I was going to say is how much of this going into Iowa? Is it a relieving of the pressure, go out, play football, do your thing, don't have to worry about making a bowl game next Friday now that you were able to get it done today?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
rather than being 5 on the contrary, being 5 and 6 and knowing
you don't want
we have to win,
right? And every
week.
Play means a little bit more, you're a little bit more tight. But now it's like, hey, listen, this now let's really go shake a tail feather. Let's really go get into some good trouble. Let's really go and do something. You know what I mean? Yep. I mean, this is a time that within ourselves to really play with some swagger, really have some some confidence, and it's not, and again, I keep saying this. I mean, like Matt Rule said, this is the last time we're going to celebrate 6 wins. Now, look, that's over. The demons and everything is exercise. I don't want to hear it anymore.
We're done.
So this is the highest floor that we can ever have. That means a lot of things in the future have to go wrong for us to be at 6 wins. And so now let's go to Iowa on a short week. They know us, we know them. We feel comfortable playing against them. We know exactly what they're going to do. They're very beatable. And let's go to their house, 6:30 at night, cold as heck, after we became bowl eligible, and let's turn up 1,000%. I'm talking about let's go play 2 or 3 times better than we played today. You get what I'm saying? And the reason why, and you know what? If you aren't motivated, you got to think, okay, so we beat the brakes off of Wisconsin, right, tonight by 19. So did Iowa. So now we coming to your place and let's see if you can do it against us.
There you have
right?
it. Yeah.
Okay, you want to run Caleb Johnson up here, and we're going rat-a-tat-tat his butt too. Let's see exactly what you want. I mean, you get what I'm saying? I mean, for me, it's hard for me to understand what they're going through because I was able to take a bite of that winning apple very early. I had no other choice but to do everything I had to, and then some humanly possible to become a better player in order to be a part of a history, here in this college football that might not never be done again. And so to be where they were and to be close like they were last year, to rectify some things, start out hot, become ranked, really, moment got too big, and some guys start feeling themselves. You get embarrassed on national TV against Indiana, let yourself down a couple times, Illinois included, but then obviously had a chance to beat Ohio State again on national TV, really dookie down your leg against UCLA, go out to USC and kind of 50-50 that game. And then here you go against your arch rival, and it's not really a rivalry when you lose to them 10 times, backs against the wall, and then go out from the very first get-go and physically, mentally, and spiritually beat these dudes. And so, they definitely should, feel, motivated. They should be elated. They should be happy. And then again, it's no different than a loss, but then more or less you become bowl eligible right now. And so, you got to take your 24 hours and celebrate it, and then quickly turn your focus onto Iowa. And it has to be immediately because it's a short week, but what you want to do is continue to prove to yourself, not to anybody else, that you're the team that you were today and tonight moving forward. and it gives a lot of more it frees up the coaches as well. I can tell you right now, if I'm going into Nick Saner's house, the great middle linebacker from Pius X, I'm definitely walking in there with a little bit more swagger, knowing I'm bowl eligible, and I know that you can help us. I know it's a bigger selling point. I know that for when I'm in my meeting rooms as a position coach, it's another, let's say 20 to maybe 30 days to develop some guys and see some guys, and with the transfer portal, and then also maybe holistically as a group, as a coaching staff, put together a bowl team and regime based on maybe some seniors might not want to play because they have really, really good draft grades and so forth and so on. You got to be appreciative of that, and you got to respect that. But it also allows you to do even more what they did today. And you saw a lot of young guys. I mean, heck, we saw Maverick Noonan in there on defense. We saw McGahee. We saw a lot of young guys get in there that hadn't been playing up until now, and saving those last 2 or 3 games. And the bowl game would be one of them now, obviously officially after Nebraska kicked Wisconsin. But
yeah, I mean, it's certainly,
that was a butt kicking, Nick.
It was.
I mean,
and every time, like I just can't continue to repeat and go back to it, where it's every time Nebraska was punched back, they were able to deliver another one. And so that was certainly something that we hadn't seen over the last 4 weeks, especially over the last 4 weeks in the midst of Nebraska's 4-game losing streak. And it's certainly a time to be excited, to celebrate if you're a Nebraska football fan, and kind of be on the lookout. Also, I mean, Nebraska will have a chance to knock off Iowa on the road. They beat Iowa back in 2022 in the final game of the year.
Yeah, you were there. You and Bill Bush. Is that where your relationship started off?
Yeah, it's sure.
You guys, you interviewed him coming off the field, didn't you?
I did. Then obviously in 2024 we'll have the chance to do that as well. It's gonna be a later kickoff than Husker fans are used to.
6:30 at night. It's gonna be like 13 degrees.
18 degrees forecasted at kickoff.
Damn.
But hey, if you get a similar 16 carry, 113 yard performance from Emmett Johnson.
I mean, we got 4 minutes here. I mean, let's just be honest here.
We have all the time.
I mean, let's be honest here. Okay. Let's just be brutally honest. Okay. Every time that we got in a national championship game, you need a guy from Minnesota to step up. Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah. Florida, Peyton Manning had to go ahead and just rough him up a little bit. Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you, man. I looked at Emmett and I told him, I said, listen, man, and I said this on the Foreman's Forum, my video, J Foreman 44 YouTube channel. Just stop hating. Stop shaking that big old head and be like, yeah, hurry up and get it. I said, listen, at some point in time, and this is a life lesson. This is honestly got true. I'm just talking junk. And this is what I talk to him. And I love Emmett. He's a great kid, a tough kid. I said, listen, man, people are gonna doubt you your whole life. I don't care if you're here. I don't care if you're in Timbuktu. I don't care if you're the CEO of said company. At some point in time, you have to show them exactly who you are. Mm-hmm. And that's factual. And he said, say less. Now, that's the new age lingo. Say, I got you, right? Yeah. And that's what he did. I mean, listen, man, you can say you got people up there. It is funny. Last year he did well. He's not a breakaway back. He's not a NFL back. Okay, but he's making case for he's the best dude you got. Same thing. He ain't this, he ain't that. What does he do? In big moments, who do they go to? When you need something happen, who do they go to? And what did you need him to do today? Step up for the seniors, have a big game, 113 yards running, 113 yards rushing, six catches, 85 yards passing, over 200 some yards offense, and he was creating on his own. He was running behind his pads. That's what you need. Emmett Johnson.
Nice day.
Representing the great north of Minnesota. You know who else did that? You looking at him right here.
There he is. Jay Foreman Postgame Show, sponsored by our friends Anderson Ford of Lincoln, State Farm, Vinny Kreekak, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Action Plumbing, Heating, AC and Electrical, Tavern 180, and last but certainly not least, our friends at Tanner's Bar and Grill. Stick around. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys the rest of the way here We'll be here another 30, 40 minutes before we hand things off to Austin and the rest of the crew. Here on 93.7.
A lot of people want to get on here now that they boiled.
93.7 the ticket.
We'll be right back. Hey, Jake. We've been dodging bullets for a few weeks now. Everybody wants to get on here and spread the word. We might need to hog these airwaves. Everybody got opinions when we lose.
We're going to break. Jay Foreman Postgame Show returns right after this.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations, now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? That feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11th, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios on O Street.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
The Rabbit Hole Bakery, located at 8th and Q in the Haymarket, is the ideal place for fresh breakfast items or desserts made daily. Cream puffs, cinnamon rolls, carrot cake, sweet potato, pecan cookies, brownies, blondies. Do I need to keep going? What about bread pudding with homemade bourbon caramel sauce? Stop by the Rabbit Hole Bakery at 8th and Q in the Haymarket today to satisfy your cravings. And if you're looking for larger group orders, they do that too. Order ahead on their website at therabbitholebakery.com today.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
If you're a homeowner or a business owner, you have a lot of projects, and no one has an unlimited budget or time. Sunbelt Rentals makes all jobs less stressful with no need to purchase large equipment or hire a crew. You can do it yourself with rentals in everything from aerators and power rakes for spring yard work to stump grinders, concrete mixers, tile saws, and more. Check out their inventory in Lincoln, north of Cornhusker Highway on 56th Street, or online at sunbeltrentals.com.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Slay the holidays this year with a gift that'll really get them going. One that's built to win, like the new Honda CRF-R Motocrosser. One that's built for fun, like a Honda Mini Moto. Or one for each member of the family, like a Honda CRF Trail Bike. At Rod's Power Sports, you'll find the motorcycle, ATV, or side-by-side they'll love. During the Honda Gifts That Go sales event, you can slay the streets in style with a Grom Mini Moto, slay the trails with the CRF 50F, or pile into to a Pioneer 1006 Deluxe crew that can carry 6 elves over the fields and through the woods all year long. This year, don't just give any gift. Give the gift of outdoor adventure with a ride they'll never forget. Don't miss out. Head to Rod's Power Sports in Lincoln, Nebraska during the Honda Gifts That Go sales event. It's your chance to slay the holidays and your gift list. Dealer participation may vary. See dealer for complete program and safety details.
You can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket as soon as the clock hits 0 for the Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Listen to expert analysis from the Husker Hall of Famer, an 8-year NFL veteran, for 90 minutes after the game. The Jay Foreman Postgame Show, sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Tavern 180, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show, sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Tavern 180, Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical.
What up? We're back. Jay Foreman after game show. Got my man Nick Sainer here. Appreciate you guys obviously texting in, and obviously we're able to read quite a few of your texts. Also, for the fans that walk by, we appreciate you guys, showing your excitement, because it's been a long time for you guys, fans in particular, supporters not only of the football program, but us here at 93.7 The Ticket, and more importantly, the Jay Foreman After Game Show. And so, before we, there's nothing much else that we could say right now. Nick, you read about 20 texts prior, so obviously we've been getting a lot of texts in the meantime. So what do we got here on the text line, both on YouTube and the text line or text stream?
All right, so we got this question from Doug the Tire Guy specifically. We'll pop this one up on the video stream. It says, Doug the Tire Guy here, why don't we use Harburg more than one play, especially in the red zone? Give him a chance to get something going. They already know he's going to run it, even though he can throw. Here's something interesting on that part. It feels like they're setting something up to where in the near future, he's gonna throw one over the top. But setting up for the most part, to Doug's point, has ran it every single time. So
far. I think it's if you remember a couple years ago when Nebraska was up in Minnesota, Minnesota had a quarterback, Tanner Morgan, and then they brought in Kramer, who was kind of like had the skill set of Harburg, and that was kind of what did Nebraska in. So hopefully in the future, if they do use them, they have a little bit more of an expansive package. But I think right now it's just kind of like an off-speed pitch, if you want to use an analogy for baseball, or like a reliever that can maybe be a little bit more physical and give something else for the defense to prepare for, both prior to the game, but then in game with him running the ball. And then obviously it's easier to add a little RPO action because he's done it and he's more than grew his game from a pocket passer, RPO passer as well.
Let's keep going here. We got Daner Holger, or excuse me, hold on. Let's do this one instead. Okay, we'll go to the text line here. 402-464-5685. Chase B, big win. Job's not done yet. Beat Iowa. Go Big Red. Jarrett in Lincoln says we made it. Let's do it again next week. Put a good end to our season. Huge win and love the effort today. I felt like there was a couple instances, sure, where maybe the effort, whether it was tackling, whether it was missed assignments, right? I think it was Isaac Gifford had one kind of miscommunication on the backside that allowed that deep pass for a touchdown for Wisconsin later in the game to allow that to happen. However, for the most part, we didn't sit here in the middle of the game and go, man, that's just a lack of effort play, or Nebraska's just not giving it. I hate using this phrase, giving it their all. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I didn't notice myself at least sitting here going, yeah, man, defensively, Nebraska just doesn't feel like they want to be out there, or offensively just feels like guys are kind of just lackadaisical and going through the motions. I didn't think we felt like that tonight.
No, I mean, I can't even remember even the plays. I just think sometimes you just get beat, or you like you said, make mistakes. And versus prior couple games, USC and UCLA, you definitely could question the particular players, whether it's effort or want to or whatever. And it's one of the things that, like I said, you got to point out to you that you got to play for your seniors, and it's an emotional day for I think 30 or close to 30 guys of their last time playing at here for Nebraska, and been through a lot, and everybody laid it on the line, and it wasn't going to be perfect, but ultimately their effort and execution was significantly higher than previous weeks, and that's something that they can. In reference to the first text, that you need to take that and use it as a springboard to Iowa going, on a short week. And really, if you can envision, or if Nebraska's envisioned themselves going up there and winning, it will be significantly harder because you're going on the road. But if you're able to pull that game out and end up, at 7-5, you're really right around where people kind of forecasted you to be. Maybe 8-4, and obviously 10-2 on a very, very good year with, but that's obviously with a freshman quarterback. So you can really, really end the season the right way, obviously being bowl eligible as well. To string some victories together like you did at the beginning of the season.
Patrick on the text line says, preach, it was a hell of a game. Axel Foley says, most importantly, gents, that the bowl game provides many more practices. We got Soresco Joe saying, I said we needed some dogs on the field, and we had some dogs on the field show up. How about 21 today? Emmett Johnson was really, really fun to watch. Too ripped to quit. That was a great game. Bowl bound. We have 5284 says Holgerson brings the juice. Nebraska looked like a different team out of the gates. Dylan looked much more confident. Great balance between run game and the passing attack. Decent complimentary football today. This texter was 20 when the Huskers made their last bowl game in Nashville. Can't wait to go support the Huskers wherever they land in a bowl game. Let's keep the momentum rolling and get a win next week, so maybe they can draw a warm weather bowl and my golf clubs can accompany me on the trip. That's 5284 on the text line. I mean, there's that part. We can talk about the first piece of that there, Jay. Thoughts on Dana Holgerson to this point, because now another week of him being kind of at the helm is under his belt. For the most part, and Nebraska did have a good blend. We talked about that in the first segment, right when we started out. It had a good blend. Dylan Raiola on first down had only 2 incompletions the entire time, and that's something that we always talk about, the ability to stay on schedule, right? Nebraska was able to do that for the most part today, and that didn't find themselves in too many 3rd and long scenarios.
No, I felt like Nebraska did a good job of staying at or ahead of the chains. I think, Coach Holgerson, I think, just his energy and his aura, that's a big catchword now. And the way he moves, I'm big on when you watch a coach and see how they move, and he moves, significantly different. This has nothing to do with Coach Satt, but ultimately, I think the way he moves is standard, when he has more experience. And so when you have a guy that knows exactly what he views as a positive play, negative play, and how he has certain things that he wants to accomplish within, I guess, his mindset right now. Because I wouldn't say that necessarily this is his playbook, but to be able to come in and kind of, put your stamp on this playbook and kind of expand on it, in a little bit less than 3 weeks is a big feat. But I don't think he ever batted his eyes twice. When you look at it, just more importantly, when you look at Nebraska, essentially 4-9 on third down. right there. That's middle 40% on third down. That's what you want. They had almost twice as many first downs as Wisconsin. So now you're thinking about ball control, both from in the passing and in the running. And they had over 70 more yards, total yards than Wisconsin. And you got to think about 50 of the yards are hollow yards by Wisconsin, considering that they were down by, at times, 3 scores. And so when you run the ball, 11 more times than Wisconsin, who you would think coming into the game, and considering how Nebraska had ran the ball previously, you run it 11 more times and, average more per carry. It shows you versatility, and that's what Nebraska needed, and maybe that's what Matt Rule wanted. And so I think he also upped the ante of expectations and execution and effort. You saw it out there. I mean, if there was multiple plays, Emmett doesn't get 113 yards running by just the offensive line, tight ends, receivers, slot backs. Everybody else got busy, and it was definitely a good, well-rounded offensive effort.
It's interesting that you mentioned tight ends because we saw Luke Lindenmeyer out there a good chunk of the day, Nate Borkacher as well.
Yeah.
And after Janiron Bonner fumbled early on in the game, we didn't see Bonner back in there, but we saw those first two, right? Nate Borkacher, Luke Lindenmeyer.
Yeah.
And we know the importance that Dana and the weight that Dana Holgerson, as he told us earlier this week, what he puts on the ability to block or the willingness to block. Those two guys did that today. And we saw that, right? And there were a lot of the longer runs from Emmett Johnson where you saw Luke Lindenmeyer or you saw Nate Borkacher, in addition to Bryce Benhart or Henry Latofsky or even Micah Mazuka at times until he got the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for spiking the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I think the standard is been raised, but ultimately, I don't want to take anything away from Coach Satterfield because ultimately, I think if Dana Holgerson comes in here and somehow you start to do, I mean, it's a choice. Mm-hmm. It's a choice. I'm a big believer in that. I mean, I want to give Coach Holgerson a lot of credit and Coach Rule a lot of kudos for going out and making the move and having some sort of vision and putting your ego aside and calling somebody and saying you need help, but then also I don't want to sit up there and minimize the want to. And yes, somebody else can come in and do it, but then ultimately you also have to make sure that you check yourself at the door and say, listen, I should have been doing this, all along. Presence is a big deal. I think, Coach Dana has a different presence. I think he has a long history of calling plays. I think he has a wide receiver background, both as a player and as a coach coming up the ranks. He's been an offensive coordinator. He kind of knows what he needs to do. And so I think, this is also a good challenge for him. And when you have a really, really good and established and respected play caller that has a challenge, I think you get a little bit more than previously than maybe what he did. And I can't speak for him. I'm just going off of, my, thought process as obviously a former player and somebody evaluates the situation.
We got the question on the video stream, and it's important just to clear things up. William asks, was Snow, and he's also obviously talking about Phil Snow in the booth for defense. Phil Snow works remotely, so he kind of consults remotely for the staff. Matt Rule told us that when they brought in Dana Holgerson, that they had some guys working remote-wise, but they wanted Dana on campus while Phil Snow works remotely earlier in the week, not involved necessarily with specific game day plans that per Matt Rule. That was a couple of weeks ago there for Nebraska's defense. Ceresco Joe mentioned special teams. Jay, we'll touch on special teams before we get to our final timeout and before we hand things off here on the post-game coverage. But Ceresco Joe brings up the special teams play was the best they've seen all year. Made all the field goals. Punting was good. And Ja'Cory Barney Jr. was a nice spark in the return game.
Well, I think ultimately, the special team started out struggling. And obviously the kicker situation started off and then obviously kind of, snowball from there. But ultimately, you also have to go back to the same kind of thing with the offensive line. The special teams that slowly but surely, I think in the first bye week, went straight back to work and punt protection, got better at it, and continued to kind of inch their way to this performance today. And I think it was the special teams were special. I mean, look, after they score, or I think maybe the first, the first, kickoff return, Barney takes it and you get up close to, midfield And that's the first time you've seen, aggressive mindset, right? You very easily could have just let that go out the end zone and got it at the 25. He took it and challenged, Wisconsin had a big return. And then obviously Buschini punted and we downed one, I think, definitely inside the 10. It was we got a really good bounce, really good coverage, looked like a, tidy unit. And then obviously Hull, I think, you heard Rule for weeks prior to him start to get his confidence and obviously see the ball go through the uprights, had a strong leg, accurate leg. They had to get the mechanics fixed.
Yeah.
Snap, hold, kick. So you want to give Coach Foley and everybody else credit that helps with special teams. And I think today was a big part of it. And I think it was something that maybe Wisconsin felt like they would have usually had an advantage. Nebraska had an advantage, and so allowed them to kind of, I call it, hold your head above water, tread water until the other units get going. And that's why Nebraska never lost their lead.
This Jay Foreman Postgame Show is sponsored by our friends Anderson Ford Lincoln, Vinnie Creekak at State Farm Insurance, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, Tavern 180, and last but not least, our friends at Tanner's Bar and Grill. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line, open for you guys the rest of the way here, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo Channel 961. Feel free to comment, drop a comment. We had a super chat last week on the show as well. Super chat. So thanks to the super chat a couple of week ago from today for commenting on our video stream there over on the YouTube site. You guys can super chat if you'd like. If you'd like to donate to the Jay Foreman Post Game Show, then you can feel free to super chat there. But if you want to drop a comment as well, we'll get to you there as well. All right, we'll step aside one final time here on the Jay Foreman Post Game Show. We'll get Jay's final thoughts as well as previewing the Iowa Hawkeyes. Maybe hear from Matt Rule a little bit as we round out the 6 o'clock hour here on the Jay Foreman Post Game Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ready to hit the road in style? Liberty First Credit Union is revving up your ride with unbeatable auto loan specials. Cruise away with rates as low as 4.79% APR for 48 months on a 2020 or newer vehicle. Need a longer term? No worries. They've got you covered with 4.89 APR for 60 months and 4.99 APR for 72 months. Hurry, these rates are cruising fast, so don't get left in the dust. Visit libertyfirstcu.com. Credit factors apply. Rates, terms, and conditions subject to change.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier Kawasaki dealership. Score big on Kawasaki's all-new Ridge lineup. The Ridge XR, the Ridge HVAC, and the Ridge Limited. All built to take on your day with a full factory cab, including heat and AC. Stop by Indian Motorcycle of Lincoln today and rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of November. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln at 27th and I-80.
Explain to me again why we're sleeping on the ground.
Because we're thramping, thrift camping. It's saving us money and getting us closer to nature.
But we don't need to thramp. I just combined our home and auto insurance with our State Farm agent, so we have a rate that fits our budget.
All right. Do you think our agent can bring us an air mattress?
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinnie Creekak, at 402-474-1173.
Individual premiums and budgets will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Hey, bestie. Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too.
My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own.
Always in the driver's seat, huh?
Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot.
Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop.
Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Own Credit Union. For details, go to membersowncu.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Tanner's Bar and Grill is the best place in Lincoln for a casual get-together, best place to watch a game, and the best for pre- and post-game. Catch college and NFL football as well as the volleyball action this season at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. What's better than wings, cold beer, and a Husker win? Enjoy great food and drink specials every day and tons of TVs to catch all the action. Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, take over $11,000 off a 2024 Ford F-150. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1004296, MSRP of $66,645. Must finance with Ford Motor Company and have a qualifying trade and approved credit. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 11/13/24. See delivery details.
Mindle Footwear is your solution against sore feet, blisters, and poor footing. Don't just take our word for it. Take it from Sip, who said he's never had a pair of boots more comfortable. You won't find Mindle Footwear in any store, sold exclusively at MindleUSA.com right out of Sydney, Nebraska. They're so confident you will enjoy the comfort their boots offer. If they don't work out for you, they'll cover the shipping to return them. Use code THETICKET for free shipping because your feet deserve a treat too. Mindle Boots, just try them on.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealer, invites you to attend our upcoming Parts and Service Expo events. It's the best time to buy parts and schedule inspections all year. Take advantage of specials through December 13th with additional savings the day of your local expo. Find savings on oil and filters, gifts for under the tree, and pre-ordered John Deere parts. Visit with our trained and certified technicians and sign up for our winter service specials. Visit landmarkimp.com for a complete schedule and experience the Landmark difference.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Tavern 180, Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical.
What up? We're back. Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Myself and then my man Nick Sainer on the ones and twos. Obviously, a lot of traffic there. A lot of traffic as we see as we look out here on O Street. 1040 O Street is where we're coming live to you from. Once again, we appreciate you guys texting in not only on the YouTube channel and then also on the text line as well. A lot of excitement and a lot of things to look forward to. I think one of the big things is what's next. What's next is celebrate and accentuate this win tonight. I mean, because it's a big deal, but then more importantly, you got to make sure that you turn the page, whether it's a win or loss after 24 hours and get focused and, excited and ready to go to Iowa and raise a little hell. But ultimately, look, when you haven't done something in 8 years, all the stupid excuses, all the low hanging fruit, all the lazy takes by people on the radio of blaming present behavior on past regimes, that's out the door. The expectation should be, and it always has to be, the highest floor has to be 6 wins. What that means is, for everybody out there, is all hell has to break loose for us to only be bowl eligible with the week left. And so, look, man, congratulations to the team and the staff and the coaches and everybody that put forth the effort and been on this team. And some of the guys that were here last year that maybe didn't have eligibility that wish they could be a part of it. Because I saw Luke Reimer, and I'm sure he wishes he could be there, and Tag and all those guys. They're a part of this too, but more importantly, just 100%, congratulations to them. This by no means that you've made it. This means that you've actually taken a step in the right direction in the process of potentially and hopefully realistically getting back to respectability and being a stalwart in the national scene of college football.
Yeah, so I mean, some crazy scores, and we'll work back to Iowa with this, but some kind of interesting scores in the Big Ten Conference in the country today as well. But obviously Nebraska puts up 44 points on Wisconsin's defense. A texter, hole in the boat, hole in a boat, says still in disbelief, that the offense put up 44 points on Wisconsin, and then in all caps, curse broken. So there you have it. I think that's how some Husker football fans are feeling tonight. Michigan drops 50 on Northwestern.
Yeah.
They win 50-6 over the Northwestern Wildcats. Illinois came from behind. They scored 23 points in the fourth quarter, beat Rutgers on the road in Piscataway 38-31. We know Ohio State beat Indiana 38-15 earlier. Iowa, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Penn State is able to stave off the Minnesota Golden Gophers and win 26-25 in Minneapolis. And last but not least, Iowa goes on the road and they win 29-13 against the Maryland Terrapins. Caden Johnson, who we will talk a plethora about tomorrow, throughout the course of this next week, 35 carries, 164 rushing yards, and a touchdown for the Hawkeyes. This is going to be one of the best, if not the best running back that Nebraska faces or has faced this season. Yeah. They faced a lot of good ones.
They got two running backs too.
They faced a lot of good ones, right? Whether it's Justice Ellison from Indiana, or whether it's Kyle Monungai from Rutgers, or even Woody Marks from USC last weekend. Caleb Johnson's going to pose another test for this Husker defense. And Jay, what do they need to do to respond?
They got to do what they did tonight or today and a lot more. They got to really do a really good job of being physical at the point of attack, both, getting into blocks, getting off blocks. But then obviously when you come up against Caleb Johnson, we got to penetrate the line of scrimmage and we got to strike this dude. And you got to hit this dude. You got to gang tackle. He runs behind his pads. He is fast enough to take it to the crib. You got to think right now, look, Iowa ran the ball 58 times, right? 47 came from Caleb Johnson and Kamari Moulton combined. And both of them went over 100. Kamari Moulton had a 60 or pretty much a 70-yard run and had 114 yards total. And then Caleb Johnson was just bludgeoning. His long was 13. So that he was essentially just lining up and punching you dead in your face and gut punching you. The quarterback only threw for 76 yards. And so what they did against Maryland is just lined up and beat you up. And so Nebraska has to be excellent on first down, and they're going to run it. They ain't changing. They're not going to change against Nebraska, and Nebraska's got to take the things that they did well against Wisconsin and their big offensive line and really, really get after it against Iowa, which I think, in my opinion, is the best offensive line that they're going to face all year, and especially is the best offensive line this year as far as running the ball, run blocking. And the what they do, and they got a big old tight end in Lachey who will be a longtime pro, coming off a knee injury last year, who's about 6'7". We saw him at Big Ten Media Day. That can be an extra offensive lineman, but he's obviously very, very good in the passing attack. And so you got to really, 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 really have a good game as far as play recognition, inside outside zone. They do run a little bit of toss. They're running some power in there. They run what do they want, whatever they want out of different formations, play recognition, but just know that, when you step off that bus, about 4:30 next Sunday, it's definitely going to be a straight up street fight.
Well, and something to certainly watch is just their quarterback situation, right? Brendan Sullivan's out for the rest of the year with an injury there. Cade McNamara did not start. He was benched because of an injury, because of poor play as well earlier this season. And Kirk Ferentz elected to go with Jackson Stratton, as Jay mentioned, 10 of 14 through the air, 76 yards passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Luke Lachey, as you mentioned, just one catch for 9 yards today against the Maryland Terrapins. Iowa now 7-4 overall in the season, 5-3 in the Big Ten Conference. But once again, Jay, Husker fans, Nebraska, 6 wins for the first time since 2018.
Yeah,
2016,
2016, man. It's been a long time, and for the Husker fans, I mean, I'm sure. Look, man, it's for the ones that have been loyal, or even the ones that have came for a year or two. They got to be as elated as the players. And look, the players and coach were able to push through. Give them congratulations and celebrate it. And look, everybody be obviously respectful and obviously be safe tonight, but then also celebrate it up. And then when you wake up tomorrow, it's onward to Iowa. It's a short week. It's Thanksgiving. You don't want to get caught up in the turkey and all that stuff. There's one job to do, and that's go kill a bird up there in Iowa City, and that's the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Appreciate our friends, Anderson Ford of Lincoln, State Farm, Vinnie Kreekak, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Action Plumbing, Heating, AC and Electrical, Tavern 180, and Tanner's Bar and Grill for their support of the program. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in as soon as the game is finalized. Jay, we got 15 seconds. Take it away, my friend.
Hey, man. I mean, listen, big ups to the team, man. I mean, I'm happy for the seniors. I'm happy for the team. Happy for the coaches, everybody, fans as well. I appreciate you guys' support on the Jay Foreman post-game show. Tune in next week. We got some big things coming as well.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Greens at 402-467-4444 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-4444.
I can't believe I just scratched that card. Find my insurance card.
Dude, what do you have in this glove box? Ew, are these socks dirty?
Oh, forget about the socks. I need my insurance card.
Just pull it up on the State Farm mobile app.
But I can do that? Oh, hey, I can do that.
Yep, it's called service.
I can file a claim on here too?
Yeah, it's called service.
Whoa, I can call my agent too?
It's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinnie Kreekak, at 402-474-1173.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, lease a 2024 Ford F-150 for $395 per month. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1003769, $395 per month lease for 36 months with proof credit, 7,500 miles per year, $5,250 to its signing, no security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 11/30/24. See the details.
Attention students and anyone else looking for a great deal. Sun Valley Lanes and Games has the ultimate weeknight special. For just $15.95, enjoy unlimited bowling, lucky putt mini golf, and laser tag. Flash your college ID at check-in to receive $2 off your admission. It's the perfect way to unwind Sunday through Thursday nights. Check out sunvalleylanes.com for hours and availability. Sun Valley Lanes and Games, located at 321 Victory Lane.
Lincoln's best place to meet, eat, and compete. Sun Valley.
Tanner's Bar and Grill is the best place in Lincoln for a casual get-together, best place to watch a game, and the best for pre- and post-game. Catch college and NFL football as well as the volleyball action this season at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. What's better than wings, cold beer, and a Husker win? Enjoy great food and drink specials every day and tons of TVs to catch all the action. Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill.
Lincoln Federal Savings Bank. Personal banking like you remember.
Home. It's more than a place, it's a feeling. This is Eric Bertrand with Lincoln Federal Savings Bank. If you're looking for a place to call home, call me. Let's review your financing options and get you into the home of your dreams. Proudly serving Husker fans.
Personal banking like you remember.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Black Friday savings all month long. From appliances to mattresses, the savings can be found at Schaefer's. Rest easy this Black November on a new Serta or Beauty Rest Black mattress set. Now with up to $1,000 in savings when you add an adjustable base. Plus, extra savings all month long on all Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs. Every day is Black Friday in November. Now at Schaefer's.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier Kawasaki dealership. Score big on Kawasaki's all-new Ridge lineup. The Ridge XR, the Ridge HVAC, and the Ridge Limited. All built to take on your day with a full factory cab, including heat and AC. Stop by Indian Motorcycle of Lincoln today and rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of November. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln at 27th and I-80.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Hey, Nebraska football fans, it's defensive lineman Ty Robinson, and I've got a winning play for you with Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. Team up with Action and install a new Bradford white water heater in your home. And if we win the conference championship this season, you'll get a full refund. Don't fumble this opportunity. Sack your old water heater this season and score big with Action. Visit actionlincoln.com/Huskers to learn more.
Promotion valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hey, bestie. Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too.
My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own.
Always in the driver's seat, huh?
Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot.
Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop.
Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Own Credit Union. For details, go to membersowncu.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Tavern 180, Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical.
Jay and Nick out, Austin and Chancellor in. Rolling with you for another hour or so, taking your thoughts all night long. 402-464-5685 on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, as well as on our video stream, also brought to you by our friends at Starter Heyman Jewelers. They did it. The monkey's off the back. The rain is falling in Lincoln. Even though it's a clear night, the drought is over. Chancellor Brewington, former Husker, they did it. How you feeling?
I feel great. I feel great for them. The monkey off the back, as we say up here, like it's off the back. Like it's like, man, you could take a deep breath. This is a breath of fresh air for seniors. This is a breath of fresh air for everyone in the facility. I know the alumni that have, wanted to get there. And I'm sure, Jay was in here. He's been there, obviously, playing in national championships. But for this is a small step in the right direction. Or maybe it's a big step in some people's eyes, right? But I'm really proud of the guys. And 44 points? Yeah. I mean, that's Holgrenson. He had a day. We had an opportunity, though, and we'll talk about it. We had an opportunity to really let some things go after the pick, but defense went in there and stopped them, and they missed the field goal. And man, I just thought it was a great overall performance from first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. I thought, the missing pieces were there and they showed up.
Best performance of the Matt Rule era?
Yeah, I mean, 44 points is 44 points. I think, you can put it up there with the Colorado one, but I think we didn't play 4 quarters in that game. You played like 2.5. You played 3, on the offense end, you didn't finish, right? I think that was the main point for me, at least, is, seeing the offense really thrive. Like not only like score points, but look like they were dominant. Look like they could get to whatever they wanted. They could run the football, throw the ball. Play action was there. Utilize a bunch of different guys. We'll talk about Emmett Johnson, of course, but even Nate Borkacher, some big catches, one on third down, specifically on a little play action. flat route, but a bunch of players involved in this game. Banks had a big catch. But yeah, that was one thing we talked about, man, is when we throw the ball, we need to make some plays.
We will get into everything to do on the field, but maybe the most important question about what happened on the field, you pro or anti Field Storm for win number 6?
I'm pro. I mean, let these seniors go out in the right way. Of course, we can't be doing it moving forward. We can't just be, if we just beat a Big Ten team, we can't just start on the field. But I will say, to have the trophy back, especially of course, first win against Wisconsin since 2012.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, that's amazing. And I think moving forward, if we can just stay consistent, especially these type of bigger games, especially when they got a number next to them, that opponent, a ranked opponent. But no, I'm happy and I'm pro rush the field.
They did it pretty well. Everyone came out of just one side of the field. It was organized, didn't bump into Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The Badgers did a good job getting their players off the field, but at least as of now, we didn't hear about or see any incidents. So it was a pro-Nebraska party, not an anti-Wisconsin party. Which, okay, good job. Classic Big Ten rivalry built on respect and all that fun stuff. 4718 says, listening on the way home to Kansas City, let's build a Holgorsen statue and tear the field goal post down while you're at it. I don't know if I'll go that far. Your boys, the Sun Devils, tore down their goal post. They put a second back. Really? They put the second back on the clock, so they had to stand them back up. BYU threw the Hail Mary down 5, lands at the 3-yard line. Arizona State survives.
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw him 21. It was 21-0 at halftime. I mean, Florida beats Ole Miss. I mean, hey, November.
Penn State survives Minnesota.
Barely. I mean, this is where November, these late games, this is where college football gets fun.
Absolutely. But I think we can jump off with this, right? 4718 says build a Holgorsen statue. 8374 says let's give credit where credit is due. Dana H called one hell of a game. What did you see from the Nebraska offense that you liked that led to the 44 points?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is movement. A lot of lateral movement. Getting to start the first couple drives, getting Jalen Lloyd involved, of course, getting Heinrich involved early. You throw a bunch of curveballs. I mean, you're throwing all off speed early. We're not pounding the inside. We're gonna paint everything around. And then now we're gonna hit these inside zone schemes and run some things downhill. I thought Dylan played a good game. Of course, I don't think that was really putting the ball in jeopardy. The one to Bonner, I think that was just a good hit and it just happened, right? I think that just happens in football. But they had an opportunity after that drive to kind of feel sorry for themselves, right? But offense kicked it in gear, and I really think getting so many people, so many personnel groups and all these different things, getting people involved really helped it. But I think movement was one. Obviously, I think feeding Emmett, in the running game, getting him, I believe, around 16 carries.
Emmett Johnson on the day ends up with 16 carries, 113 yards with a long of 19 and average of 7.
Yeah. So, and it wasn't, and this is what I love about it. They probably ran, 7 or 8, probably like 6 or 7 concepts, right? And hit there's some of the same exact plays. They just flipped formation or got to it in a different way. But it was consistent. It was they didn't go away from it. And that was one thing I was impressed with Holgorsen. He's just a well-seasoned veteran OC who knows exactly what he's doing, has a rhyme or reason for every play call. There's no idle play call where it doesn't really fit into the scheme. There's a play action look off of this. They went 2 back. Had Jalen Lloyd in there with or not Jalen Lloyd. They had Ja'Cory Barney in there with Emmett Johnson. Just those type of things have reasons for it. And I think Holgorsen helped out Raiola a lot. And I think he's learning Raiola as they go.
Let's hear from Emmett Johnson about his offensive coordinator. Then we'll talk about number 21. Here was the Husker star running back tonight at the podium talking about Dana Holgorsen. Does he like having him as his OC?
Yeah, he's a great guy. He keeps the game simple and just allows me to do me and be in space. And most importantly, he keeps everything simple for the whole offense, not just me. Up front, everybody knew what they had to do, and we just went out there and executed. So credit to my O-line as well. They don't get the credit, but those boys helped me a lot.
That's Emmett Johnson talking about Dana Holgorsen. One word was repeated a couple times.
Simple. Simple. I mean, that's what it is. Run game. You look at the best run games in the Big Ten usually are, Ohio State, Michigan, those type of teams. Iowa, super simple. I mean, they don't do a bunch of stuff, but they find what it is that they're good at, and they do it well. And Nebraska found that running, Bonner in motion, running Lindenmeyer in motion, running Banks in motion, running inside zone, and running, duo, whatever you want to call it, off of that. And the running backs had their eyes up, specifically Emmett Johnson, and hit holes. And that's something Holgorsen talked about last week against USC. That he wanted those running backs to hit holes, and they did that this week.
I don't know if we saw it at all earlier in the year, but we saw it on the very first drive of the game, and then again coming out of halftime, Nebraska's first possession, both Dante Dowdell and Emmett Johnson in the backfield at the same time. And what we saw was Emmett Johnson doing those lateral shuffle steps, get him in motion a little bit. Nebraska pitched it out to him once. They handed it to Dante Dowdell once. Even just a simple thing like that, right?
Yeah.
You have two running backs that you think you like, your top two guys. Put them both on the field. Use Emmett Johnson where he's best, stretching laterally, but still provide the threat of Dante Dowdell to freeze guys at the second level at the middle.
Yeah, I think it's what Emmett said. You're describing it, putting in players in positions where they're first of all comfortable, and second of all effective.
Yeah.
You want to put guys where they're comfortable and effective. That's where you get the most out of a player, and we see that with Emmett. I think it's a fact now. I mean, we found it, Austin. 11th game of the year, we found it. Our running back won. If there's any debate, I don't care if Dante has the sniffles, man, but like that's our number one back. I mean, we saw it. I mean, it should have been like that all season, but we'll look on the positive and say we found it now at least.
At least after the first bye week, right? Through 6 games, and Dante Dowdell was fine. Not a game changer. That's when maybe you give Emmett Johnson a little bit more of a shot. He's made the most of his opportunities the last couple of weeks. It's a huge credit to him. And I think, Chancellor, it's most important to point out that this is now 2 years in a row this has happened to Emmett Johnson.
Yeah.
Last year, he was down on the depth chart. We didn't really know about Emmett Johnson. Maybe that's just through attrition. Injuries happen, but credit him. He stepped up, made the most of his opportunities. And there was the talk of, is he good enough? Is he big enough? Is he ready to be Nebraska's running back one? Well, Nebraska doesn't feel great about it, or they want another option in the room. They go get Dante Dowdell. It's hard to say Emmett Johnson was buried, but certainly not utilized to the extent that he was, the last couple weeks under Dana Holgorsen. Talk about, as a player, you have that confidence in yourself, but you're not getting it rewarded with snaps or the opportunities that you think you deserve. How do you stay the course? How do you stay on track and continue to be a good teammate, stay ready for an opportunity like Emmett Johnson's had?
Yeah, I can remember my last year with Nebraska. Emmett just being one of the harder workers, a guy that would not only take scout team reps, but the moment an offensive rep was open, he would be the first guy to get in there, right? But always attacking the day. And I think understanding that development is a part of football, especially college football, because the jump from high school to college is very, very different. So taking that super serious, and then also learning and just welcoming every experience, and then also being ready. I mean, you probably would have never guessed after the season that Anthony Grant had in 22 that in 23 he was going to have a fumbling problem, and then Ramir was going to go down week 1, and then all of a sudden, Emmett Johnson is the starting back Purdue week, right? So you don't really you don't know what's ever going to happen in football season. I think when you see a guy explode, that's not like from a fan's perspective, I promise you, it's never overnight success. It's something that player has been building towards. That's something he's been preparing for. And for a guy like that to shine, and of course, a guy that wants everyone to win, you heard it. He's crediting the old line. He's crediting, Coach Holgorsen. He's a team player, and we need more guys like Emmett Johnson, guys who handle their business on and off the field.
That you do. Old Dad 34 says, how you stay the course is just trusting yourself. Emmett Johnson pointed out his faith first and foremost when he was asked about it in the post-game press conference. Then he went to his offensive line, then his offensive coordinator, and then all that added up to his success. Again, that's just such a humble mindset. I think that Emmett Johnson, when you look at not just who he is as a player, but a person, that's the kind of guy that I think, number one, Matt Rule wants on his team, but number two, that the state of Nebraska can really rally behind.
Yeah. I mean, that's a type of guy. I mean, what we talked about it. First 100-yard back since Anthony Grant, North Dakota State?
North Dakota would have been.
North Dakota? Yeah.
And first 100-yard rusher at all since Chuba against Wisconsin last year.
Exactly. So,
crazy.
So, I mean, this is a guy where he needs to make sure we keep him. I'm be honest. Let's just be real. We need to make sure we keep him in the offseason and build around him because he's a very unique style. He's a very elusive back, makes a guy miss, always falls forward. You never really know what he's gonna pull out his bag of tricks. He has a deep bag of tricks, meaning elusive moves, but he can also catch the ball at the backfield. And so now you can build around that. You can build another body type like Dante, and you can kind of I think Emmett really for air raid offense, if that's the move you want to go, I think he's the perfect back.
Well, and they used him in the passing game quite a bit again as well. He had 6 catches, second on the team for 85 yards, a well-designed screen, the mesh concept with the running back wheel that Wisconsin didn't talk about that looked like it could have been a touchdown for him. Clearly, Dana Holgorsen likes him, and funny enough, he was asked about that. Did Dana Holgorsen tell Emmett Johnson he would get more touches when Dana Holgorsen walked in the door? Here's what Emmett Johnson had to say.
Yeah, and it felt great. I can only thank God and thank him, thank everybody else. But this is special, man. I'm at a loss for words really right now. I'm just happy that we got the win. That was the most important to me, and God allowed me to do me today. So I'm proud and I'm glad.
Yeah, I think that's a guy that there's a mutual respect between Emmett Johnson and Dana Holgorsen. Speaking of that, we've got a few different texts all to the same point. 8729, keep Dana at all costs. Railroader Matt, pay Dana whatever he wants. And then there was one more in here. Raph, appreciate you, Raffy, for tuning in. How much you guys giving Dana? I'll shout out your Twitter, Raph, Chris Raff7. It worth it.
Yeah.
Making $66,000 for the month of November correlates to an $800,000 annual salary. Probably going to take more than that to keep him, especially for a guy that has designs on becoming a head coach again at some point down the line. But this is where, with the performance that, again, we said maybe results-wise wasn't as improved as you would have liked against USC, but then they break out in a big way at home. The offense is really what sealed the game for Nebraska. Wisconsin couldn't keep up with it. Yes, Nebraska has to be competitive above and beyond with Dana Holgorsen. And I think that this 3-game stretch is kind of that selling point. Hey, let's get your feet well, let's get you in, let's see if you like it. Just know that this is with the understanding that we will be competitive. We know you're going to have offers, but we're willing to give you this shot. First, we're willing to compensate you at a good rate for it. And you can see that the Dana Holgorsen is a professional play caller at the college ranks, right? That he has a mind for the game and just how quickly he can identify talent and how to use it. That's so important for a program like Matt Rule's, where it's going to be, again, that developmental program. You might not get the 5-star guys and just roll the ball out there. If you need a schematic X's and O's guy that can make any Jimmys and any Joes work, yeah, pay that man his money.
Yeah, I think Holgorsen, the headline for Holgorsen is he saved Nebraska's season. It already happened with a 44-point win, right?
Most points in the Rule era.
Exactly. So he's going to be, when people talk about Holgorsen in this offseason, he's going to be the hot free agent in the coaching game. And they're going to be like, well, he saved Nebraska's season. And I would anticipate that they're going to have a good game against Iowa. That's just my opinion. But, if they end up doing that, I really believe that it depends on where Rule wants to go with this offense. It depends. Was this a filler just because we needed to, we couldn't really run the ball. We needed to get a guy who can, help us with the pass. Or is this the direction you want to go? Because if this is, Holgorsen, it's probably not going to look exactly like that. There's going to be a lot of different wrinkles, a lot of different air raid stuff he brings in from his past places and just his philosophy as a caller. But you got to be competitive if you're Nebraska. But also, I'm sure Rule is going to be transparent with, his staff and AD and company and just say, hey, this is the direction I want to go. And it's either Holgorsen's, fits that. And I would assume he would. That's why you bring him in, of course, right? Wink, wink. But yeah, and obviously Holgorsen is going to get some offers. He's going to, especially if they do what they are supposed to do against Iowa and perform well. I think he's going to get some offers.
The money would be on Dana Holgorsen being Nebraska's next offensive coordinator for a good reason. Like you said, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's why you make a move like this. If it's not Dana Holgorsen, I think Husker fans would be understandably upset. Yeah. But I also think you have to go into this with the understanding that Dana Holgorsen's not going to be around for 5 years. So let's say Nebraska does lock Dana Holgorsen up with an $800,000, $1 million contract, whatever it takes to keep him around. Not only is that hire important, but you also have to hire with an eye to the future. We've seen this with Matt Rule, right? Hiring a younger staff He wants to not just coach the players, but coach the coaches. If Matt Rule brings Dana Holgorsen on board as offensive coordinator, the two of them have to collaborate on hiring another position coach or an analyst that's going to fill the shoes that they're going to groom as that next play caller potentially. Maybe that coach leaves and takes a job somewhere else. But I think that if they're really going to think big picture and think about developing the program, it can't just stop with the Holgorsen hire. There's got to be that next step beyond thinking bigger picture.
Yeah, and it's going to be the question of, does Holgorsen bring in some of his guys? You know,
Right.
and that's what happens a lot. You know, a guy that understands, you know, from, you know, whatever it is, tight end, receiver, all, you know, running back, all that good stuff. And then, you know, we haven't even touched on defense, and you can speculate, of course, but, you know, is Tony White going to stay? And then you know, if that's the case, then, you know, both your guys at OC are going to have some options, are going to have some real options to go other places this offseason. So it's going to be interesting. I would love to see how aggressive Nebraska is going to be towards those two specifically. But they, at the end of the day, they have to keep their players in mind, right?
It's a players program.
Yeah.
That Rule would tell you as much. Mr. Cub on the text line says, the ticket, good seeing you at the game, Austin. Mr. Cub, appreciate you saying something on my way by. Nice to see you put a name to a face, give you a fist bump on my way by. I'm just going to throw this out there, just going to put this into the universe
Go
in
ahead.
case anyone in North Stadium is listening. My dad and I have never lost a game at Memorial Stadium together. So if you want to send some season tickets, let me go to Boulder and just say really quickly, I ain't hard to find.
Come on. I mean,
I'm just saying.
Hey, come
it's
on.
right there.
Come
Go
on.
to the program.
Man,
It's an investment.
Hey, investment. You need Austin Orman in the stadium with his pops.
Hey, we're about it.
We're
there. We live 10 minutes up the road. It's easy. Easy money. It's a 10-minute walk.
Let's see
10-minute
how
drive.
much they want to win.
Yeah, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Nebraska's a winning program. Austin, his dad, gets season tickets. 0739, best offensive line performance in 10 years. Chancellor, no sacks, no tackles for loss, and the only negative plays were the kneel downs at the end.
Yeah.
Domination up front.
Yeah, domination. I mean, that's a first to credit, obviously, to offensive line coach, Coach Raiola, then, you know, Coach Holgorsen for putting them in the right positions. I mean, listen, if you know your right guard is not a good pulling guard, guess what we're not going to do, Austin? We're not going to pull him. We're not going to pull him, right?
Right.
And so, you know, we saw a lot of zone stuff, you know, not as much gap stuff, some unique gap stuff when it was called, a lot of jet sweep stuff with Jacory. So shout out to obviously the O-line, shout out to the running backs, because you make the O-line right at the end of the day. You know, let's say a O-line, you know, offensive lineman misses a D lineman, whatever, a running back can make him right. So shout out to Emmett and Dante. Rule talked about it in the presser this week that Wisconsin was one of the best defenses they have faced. I mean, and we faced some good defenses. A la Ohio State, Indiana, Illinois, even.
Rutgers, I would throw in that conversation.
Rutgers. I mean, we played some good defenses. So for him to say that and for them to go out there and perform the way they did, when they go watch the tape, whether it's tomorrow or Monday, there should be a lot of smiles on their faces. Obviously, just taking it in and looking forward to Iowa, because I saw the Iowa game. They ran for 268 yards. Two running backs over 114 yards. So, yeah.
Faisal says monkey off the back, LFG. 6785 says GBR, good to see the confidence return. Chancellor, you're watching that Nebraska sideline. You're seeing the confidence. What does a game like this do in the moment? But then as you look ahead, it's coming up on Friday. It's not the biggest game of the year anymore, but you can still turn it into the biggest game of the year because you don't want it to stop tonight.
Yeah, it's euphoric. I mean, especially for if you're a senior. I mean, I remember being in Iowa in my last year, and it was like, man, like it felt good, obviously. But to prolong your season, to extend your season with the win here, I mean, you get another probably 2.5, 3 more weeks with the guys. You know, you get to be with the guys a little bit longer, and obviously put some more film on for the guys trying to go to the next level. But you know, if you can get this done against Iowa, now, Austin, we're looking at the season real different. Think about it. Husker Nation has been so critical, rightfully so. And, you know, just kind of trying to find the good. I would say there's been so much bad. It's been hard at times. Now with the win against Wisconsin, you go bowling. win against a rivalry, a true rivalry game against Iowa at Iowa, it will change some things. It will change some things. And I think the perspective on the year will shift. It will change. It will naturally change because obviously, what have you done for me lately? We'll remember the last 2 wins.
Yeah. Against teams that you haven't beat in a while or consistently.
Exactly.
Either one. Couple more texts from you guys before we go to break. We'll have one more segment to take you up to 8 o'clock after this. 1199 says, atmosphere was unreal tonight. Truly showed why Nebraska has the best fans in football. It was good. It was good. It felt like it was an interesting being in the stadium, Chancellor, because there were moments. It was one of the rowdiest crowds. It was emotional. It had its moments. But then late third and even early fourth quarter, it kind of quieted down. But I'm not going to say it died down, right? Because you could just tell, kind of like Colorado, there's just a sense of anticipation. Come on, let's just get this over with.
Right.
We want to party. So I think that there was, honestly, despite the field storm, and this might sound funny, but the vibe I got from the stadium was they did it again. This is normal. This is usual. So yeah, no, Nebraska's not a place that storms the field for 6 wins. Normally, I get it. But the atmosphere of the crowd, the environment that I took away was relief, like Matt Rule said, tons of that euphoria, like you said, the excitement. But dare I say that was a confident fan base when Nebraska went up 3 scores. They're like, okay, I'm starting to feel good about this. Let's just run out the clock and get this on with.
Yeah, and I was watching it with some people and, with some former players actually in the conversation even came up between us was like, man, we're up 17. We need to keep this, right? That's the first thing, don't let it happen again. And then we start throwing out games. Hey. You remember this game? You remember this game? You remember this game we played in? And that, this team came back. But I let me ask you this. Where was the stadium at when the Bonner fumble / interception, whatever you want to call it, earlier in the game?
So that was late in the,
I think
in the second quarter.
Yeah. What was the feeling in the stadium then?
I'm trying to think. It was, not thrilled.
Okay.
What? How much was Nebraska up at that time? I'm trying to remember the exact.
Maybe
moment.
14-10.
Well, let me pull this up because I don't want to speak out of turn because it certainly wasn't a great feeling. Let's see here because that was Nebraska's one turnover on the day was the fumble. Oh, that was at 7-7. Yeah,
okay,
that
7-7.
was. Oh boy, that was okay. I guess we'll see because that would have been Wisconsin had just punted. You force a punt, you get the ball back of your own 11-yard line. One play for 6 yards, then the Bonner fumble. It was okay. Let's see. I think they're still kind of buzzing from the first touchdown drive to some degree, but also a little bit of okay. This is where the defense makes its money, right? We've seen these guys stand up before, and hey, how about this, Chancellor? For once, it's not a Nebraska penalty that comes back to bite it. It's a false start by Wisconsin that pushes that field goal back, and the guy hooks it.
I had to figure out. I said, which team is in red? Which one is in white? I'm trying to figure out. But no, it felt good. It felt good. Efficient game in the penalty stat line. Just an overall really, really good performance by Nebraska.
That it was 44-25. Nebraska takes down Wisconsin. We got more of your text to get to, some comments on the stream as well. Stick with us. We'll have one more segment to wrap up post game when we get back.
This is Shane Podliska, mortgage lender at Lincoln Federal Savings Bank. I'm here to help you achieve your goal, the American dream of home ownership. Whether you're buying your first home or looking to refinance, I've got the experience and know-how to make it happen. So let's tackle this together. Call me, Shane Podliska, and let's get you into the end zone of home ownership. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Go Big Red.
Personal banking like you remember.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call John Henry's at 402-435-5555 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-435-5555.
This show's pretty rockin', huh?
Yeah, I'm so glad my State Farm agent helped me go.
Huh?
My State Farm agent. They help me with options to personalize my auto insurance to get a great rate that fits my budget, so I don't have to give up the things I love.
Wow, Hey, so do you think I could get your State Farm agent's number?
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Kreekak, at 402-474-1173.
Individual premiums and budgets will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Attention students and anyone else looking for a great deal. Sun Valley Lanes and Games has the ultimate weeknight special. For just $15.95, enjoy unlimited bowling, lucky putt mini golf, and laser tag. Flash your college ID at check-in to receive $2 off your admission. It's the perfect way to unwind Sunday through Thursday nights. Check out sunvalleylanes.com for hours and availability. Sun Valley Lanes and Games, located at 321 Victory Lane.
Lincoln's best place to meet, eat, and compete. Sun Valley.
With a wide variety of menu options, including the best prime and Wagyu steaks in Lincoln, if you haven't been to Tavern 180, you're missing out. Try any of their steak options paired with one of their well-known martinis, and this will soon become your favorite date night spot. Call your friends for a casual get-together where steak, shrimp, chicken, and tasty cocktails await your arrival. Tavern 180, located next door to Tanner's at 30th and Yankee Hill.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, lease a 2024 Ford F-150 for $395 per month. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1003769, $395 per month lease for 36 months with approved credit, 7,500 miles per year, $5,250 to assigning, no security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 11/30/24. See delivery details.
Hey, Nebraska football fans, it's defensive lineman Ty Robinson, and I've got a winning play for you with Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. Team up with Action and install a new Bradford white water heater in your home. And if we win the conference championship this season, you'll get a full refund. Don't fumble this opportunity. Sack your old water heater this season and score big with Action. Visit actionlincoln.com/Huskers to learn more.
Promotion valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier Kawasaki dealership. Score big on Kawasaki's all-new Ridge lineup. The Ridge XR, the Ridge HVAC, and the Ridge Limited, all built to take on your day with a full factory cab, including heat and AC. Stop by Indian Motorcycle of Lincoln today and rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of November. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln at 27th and I-80.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Tavern 180, Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical.
Austin Norman, Chancellor Brewington, and you on the post-game show. Big thanks to Anderson Ford of Lincoln, State Farm, LA Power Sports of Lincoln, Action, Tavern 180, and Tanner's for their sponsorship. Let's just jump right back into your comments and questions. We mentioned the O-line a little bit here. Quarterback position, Doug the Tire Man says, if we're going to put Harburg in, why don't we do it for a full series instead of one play? Get him going, set the defense off, especially in the red zone where he can do the most damage. This is the most Heinrich Harburg we've seen in a long time. Did you like how Nebraska utilized 10 today?
Yeah, maybe one too much, but I loved it. I loved it. I think sprinkling them in there early gets the defense on their toes. You match that with a Ja'Cory Barney jet sweep or jet pass, whatever you want to call it. It's just another thing that the defense has to plan for. The quarterback run is so hard to scheme for. Everyone has to be perfect in their gaps. Everybody has to be gap sound. And so, yeah, I love it. I would probably be on the other side of the Heinrich show. I just think it's really, really productive. Sprinkle in maybe one or two times a quarter. But other than that, I think you could possibly, kind of show your hand too much and put Heinrich in some situations where it might actually hurt the offense.
Tonight, I thought they did a pretty good job. I mean, they mixed him in the open field once or twice, a lot down in the red zone. I thought it was maybe a little bit too cute when they had both Harburg and Raiola out there in the red zone, right? You're not going to run a double pass down there. There's not the time. There's not the space to make it happen. And I think that was one of them that led to Nebraska needing to call a timeout with some substitution stuff going on. But again, Dana Holgerson's going to use the guys that he likes. He used Heinrich Harburg, for the most part, pretty well. One guy we didn't see a lot of, Thomas Fidone. You saw a lot of Nate Borkature. He was started the game. You saw a lot of Luke Lindenmeyer. I haven't checked participation report. I'm sure Thomas Fidone got in, but if it wasn't for more than a handful of snaps.
Yeah, I didn't see him much. And I don't know, maybe that's because, Borkature got hot early. But even Lindenmeyer was in there a lot. I mean, Lindenmeyer, back-to-back weeks, probably played the most snaps he's ever played at Nebraska. It's good to see those guys in there, but I mean, you have a real weapon in Fidone, and how I think Holgerson is probably gonna. Obviously, if I'm calling the plays, I'm gonna look back and be like, well, I mean, okay, who do we get involved? Who still needs to get the ball, and who can help us win? Literally, who can help us win? And I think Fidone is a guy who can help us win, especially against Iowa. They're going to play a lot of base stuff, nothing fancy, nothing cute. They're going to line up in it, and they're going to play it, right? So getting him involved, I think, will be crucial.
It's going to be interesting to watch if Dana Holgerson returns. Obviously, there's a transfer portal. I'm not trying to throw that out there for Thomas Fidone, but players come and go. It's just kind of the nature of the position. Maybe Dana Holgerson likes those more traditional Big Ten style tight ends, which is what Borkature is by nature, is what Lindenmeyer is by nature, but what Thomas Fidone has had to become because of the knee injuries. If Thomas Fidone hadn't had the knee injuries, right, he was healthy, who knows what could have happened, but I think he's learning how to be a true tight end still, instead of the kind of matchup nightmare weapon Husker fans envisioned when he, committed to Nebraska back in the day.
Yeah, I think Fidone is a guy that is a perimeter guy. He's a perimeter guy. He's real efficient. We've seen him all year at perimeter blocking. He can get down and dirty, but just because how long he is, it's sometimes harder to get his pads down. That's just kind of natural for 6'6" tight ends. But no, I think Borkature and Lindenmeyer, if used in the right way, can actually complement Fidone. And I think those guys can kind of yin yang each other, because Borkature can do some of the stuff Fidone can do, but I think Fidone, obviously on the receiving end, can do the most. And when they go man and stuff like that, I think Fidone is a guy definitely who can separate.
But we saw Nate Borkature, like you said, get hot right on that little, he was blocking on the rollout. He said, nope, I'm going to release. Raiola flipped it right over the top to him. Before we move off of that, Timay V says Fidone sat after getting a false start. If that's accountability, if that's, actions have consequences or lack thereof, good for them. You're being right. In a game like this, having Borkature and Lindenmeyer go off. We got a Wisconsin fan, couple of them outside. Oh, just one.
Yeah, just
one Wisconsin fan. Sorry. Have a safe trip home.
Yeah.
Have a safe trip home.
Yeah.
Have a safe trip home. We appreciate it. Dylan Raiola, 28 of 38 on the day, still in search of that elusive 300-yard passing game, but one touchdown, no interception, 74% completion, and he got the ball out quick.
Yeah.
Was on time, on target. He didn't put the ball in danger at all today. I didn't think. How would you grade number 15?
Yeah, I thought he did I would say a B-.
Okay.
I would say B-, maybe C+. I thought he played efficient. I thought Holgerson put him in some really, really good situations. Actually, I'll give him a B+, or I'll give him just a B.
Solid B.
Because there was a couple. I mean, Isaiah Nayer had some shots, a couple shots actually that he just went through the hands. And then a slant that went through his hands. IGC had a slant that went through his hands.
Banks in the middle.
Banks over the middle. So there are some opportunities, of course. But I thought he plays efficient. It looked like he was getting his swagger back, like he's real poised and confident back home. Of course, now you got to go on the road and keep that confidence and keep that composure and finish the year off. Finish the year off, Austin, and say, this is who I am. This is really who I am. This is who I am. I am a top performer in this Big Ten. I start off the year good, and I'm going to end the year good. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. I can't control what happened midway through. I can't at the end of the day. But I can control my performance in Iowa week, obviously, and then a bowl game as well.
Mississippi Mud Dog says, Mud Dog predicted we would win out last week. It's going to happen.
Mud Dog,
a
loyal supporter. I appreciate you, Mud Dog.
0739, because we didn't need to see any Danny Kalen. That's why we didn't see any Danny Kalen. 7809 says, Ty Robinson is one hell of a fullback. Haha, he hit that guy so hard. I was never a defensive guy. I can only imagine just how big Ty Robinson's eyes get when he sees the guy he's blocking. He's like, oh, you're in for it.
Yeah, I mean, that jumbo set with you put Ty in there, and earlier in there you had Ty and Judy, Elijah Judy in there. But Ty's playing phenomenal football. I mean, announcers talked about it all day. I mean, how elusive he looks for 310 pounds, but his game has been slowly rising. And it's so good to see, because he's a guy that has been loyal to Husker Nation, loyal to whatever coach has been up there, Coach Frost, Mickey Joseph, and now Matt Rule. He's a guy that's they're gonna look back and say, oh man, the Ty Robinsons, the Nash Hut makers is the reason why the program is where it is.
3880 says, what a weekend. Beat Creighton, Duke beats Arizona, and then clinching a bowl game. Just need volleyball to finish it off. Let's see if we have a score update from the Bob. Let's see. Tight first set. Looks like Nebraska might have just put it away. It looks like it is or is about to be. Yep, set 1-2 Nebraska. Huskers up 1-0 on Wisconsin. Good start there. Yeah, 3880. How about them Duke Blue? No, kidding. We're Husker Football Postgame Show. Husker Football Postgame Show. Getting back on track. The defense, Chancellor. The Wisconsin offense really got going when it got down 3 scores. When Wisconsin went past first mode, they took advantage early of, hey, Nebraska is with its pass rushers. They're going to run the ball. Braden Locke dropped a couple dimes. For allowing 25 points on, what was it, like 400 some total yards? 407 total yards. Not a perfect performance by the defense, but they had the margin for error that the offense provided. And credit Wisconsin, credit the defense for forcing them to miss field goals. I don't know how that works. What are your takeaways defensively from this one?
Yeah, I mean, the past couple weeks has kind of been a roller coaster. I mean, Indiana, I mean, you let up 56 points, and then you go to Ohio State, and fourth quarter Ohio State, and it's 14 points. And then all of a sudden, now UCLA, you let up however many it was, and Garbers plays a game of his life, right? USC, there's a couple plays where you could have got off the field, right? And every time Nebraska needed to get off the field this game, they did, except for, I would say, the 4th and 1. Late in the game. The game was sealed, of course, but they did a great job. They did a great job getting off the field. A couple big plays, of course, that thing happens. Let a receiver go over 100 yards. You can patch that up, but you stop the run, and we talked about it. You let Wisconsin get to whatever they want in the run game. It's going to be a long, long day.
Darian Dupree does go for 63 yards on 8 carries, but starter Tawi Walker, 14 on 55. That's under 4 yards per carry. 3 tackles for loss on the day for only 4 yards. No sacks. But despite no sacks, it seemed like there were a couple moments that Nebraska was there, just one step away from getting home. Yeah, Braden Locke completes 66% of his passes, and yeah, the interception came late. You allow fewer points than you did against USC, maybe slight step in the right direction, got away with a little bit because of the missed field goals. But like you said, it's not just the defense as a whole. Situationally, in the big moments, for the most part, the defense did what it had to do. John Bullock played another really good game. Deshaun Singleton seals it with the pick. And I even thought there were moments where Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker might not have made the play, but they set up a play to be made.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was just enough, like you said, just enough pressure, although it wasn't true sacks. But, I mean, Ty Robinson was in the backfield. Nash was in the backfield. Jamari was in the backfield. Prince was in the backfield. Like, you had guys in the backfield, and now you cause pressure and you cause mistakes to happen. You cause the tips to happen. You cause all these things to happen. I thought D-line, I'm sure they're probably like licking their chops like, man, we could have got a couple more. But a win's a win. A win's a win at the end of the day.
the defense does force 2 turnovers. Of course, the interception late from Deshaun Singleton, but kind of a swing moment in that game, Chancellor, was the forced fumble at the end of the first half. Wisconsin, with 9 seconds on the clock, does who was it against? I think the Cardinals against the Bears. Let's just run this little play, see if we can bust it off and get into range to do something. Clearly, Locke has a big arm, threw it most of the way on his 58-yard touchdown pass, or was it 52? Either way, it was a long touchdown pass. He threw it a ways. Nebraska stays after it. They strip the ball. They get it back with 9 seconds to go. One pass to Ja'Cory Barney, a more makeable field goal for John Hull. It's a little moment. The field goal in the grand scheme of things doesn't really matter, but it does. That was a huge swing, a huge play going into halftime to steal 3 points that Nebraska hasn't stolen in who knows how long.
Yeah, it's a flashback to USC game. Ty Robinson, strip sack, and Mekhi Bayer picks it up, and offense goes 3 and out right after that. And so they don't, ends up having to take 3, and they don't capitalize off of it. Of course, obviously 9 seconds, you throw a ball to Ja'Cory, he gets a foot down. And then you get points off of it. I think that's one thing we have not done is get points off of turnovers, capitalize off of turnovers. And that's team football, man. That is team football. You strip the football, offense guy makes a play, special teams guy kicks it through. Like, that's team football, all 3 units playing together.
Wood on YouTube, appreciate you chiming in. RJ Bacani as well. Brad Stone Street says Holgorsen is a much better offensive coordinator than he is a head coach. He needs to be the assistant head coach, offensive coordinator, and compensated well. It's interesting when we hear that take, Chancellor, because you would think for a lot of guys being head coach is their ultimate job, their ultimate goal. And without talking to, all coaches or many coaches, it makes sense to run your own program, build it in your image. I'm sure there's some ego involved in that as well. But no matter where you are or what you do in life, sometimes you just rise to a level that's right for you. I can respect Dana Holgorsen wanting to be a head coach again. He's been a relatively successful head coach. Perfect head coach? No, but certainly good enough for another program to take a chance on. But we see that especially in this day and age of college football, look what Chip Kelly did. Chip Kelly was a better head coach than Dana Holgorsen was, and even a better offensive coordinator than Dana Holgorsen was. Maybe Dana Holgorsen gets another head coaching job, but maybe Dana Holgorsen looks to Columbus and says, hey, this is one of the best coaches of the 2000s, right? What he did, how he innovated at Oregon, took it to the NFL, came back to UCLA and was starting to do some good stuff. And he said, whoa, that's not for me. Maybe that's what Dana Holgorsen feels. Maybe he wants to try it again, but he'll step back, toward the later end of his career and say, hey, I gave head coaching a run. It was okay. It was fine. I liked the chance to do it. I'm not done with coaching yet, but I want to step back. Maybe Dana Holgorsen feels the need to be an offensive coordinator for a few years and see how all the changes in the big picture of college football play out too.
That's a great point. I mean, since he's coached in, 2023, just this past year and in the year to come, there's going to be so many shifts in college football. I mean, just him getting acclimated to the in-ear headset, like that's a whole acclimation period and being adaptable to that. But he's shown he can do that. And I know this for sure that these 3 games it's not like nobody's looking at them. So many people across the country are looking at this and just saw what happened tonight. And they're like, oh man, Holgorsen still has it. If there was any questions, he still has it. And eyes are going to be on the Iowa game as well. And I would say this, being a head coach, I could only imagine how much pressure, how much responsibility, how much, just you're in charge of not only just an offense. OC really isn't in charge of the offense, right? As far as like actual bodies, players, 18 to 24-year-old men, right? As a head coach, you're responsible for these players. If something goes wrong, you are the fall man. Like you have to answer. As an OC, you're really not a position coach. It's not like, you're a tight end coach or this and that. It's a lot different position. So from my, young years, I could understand a little bit to why he would like that OC position. And, hey, get a little 1.2 million. And it's not too bad either, right, Austin?
Pretty cool 1.2 million.
Yeah.
I don't know what that feels like, but if Dana Holgorsen can't, good for him. I think a perfect way to wrap up is with this from Dion on YouTube. We did it with a lot of exclamation points. Chancellor, the emotions of tonight for you as a former player, for the program, for this team. What are some of those first emotions that come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to find out. Guys already calling me on my phone during the show. So like,
come on, fellas.
Yeah, so the guys are obviously excited. I've already seen videos in the locker room, people celebrating. But this is what it is, man. Like you go through all this junk, right? You go through all this junk. Coach gets, demoted, bring in a new coach. People are saying this, people are saying that. And to lock in for the game that really, I mean, all of them matter, but the game that matters, right? Home game, last time a lot of these players are going to play together at home. I mean, this is got to be an amazing feeling. Not to say it overshadows everything, but I will say this. It puts a Band-Aid on what has happened this year, on a big wound, right? But you put a Band-Aid on it, and you maybe a little aloe vera or something. You live to fight another day.
Short week, Iowa on Black Friday. How do you ride the wave of emotion without letting it overtake you?
Yeah, so you got to learn from the film, build from the film, let that film build you up. I mean, build your confidence up with that film. Keep watching, of course, but also you got to hone in on Iowa. Like we talked about, they ran for over 250 yards offensively. You got your hands full there. Played a good defensive game as well against Maryland. You're gonna have to buckle down. I mean, this isn't going to be a game where you can just go in there and expect to win.
Not going to be easy. Ought to be worth it.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's been fun. Husker fans, we know it's going to be an emotional weekend for you. Your long wait is over as well. We'll have a full lineup of ticket weekends tomorrow on Sunday. Come back with us on Monday, starting at 6 a.m. all the way through. We got plenty of time. We got plenty of space for you to air out your thoughts, especially after a weekend to sleep on. The head is going to hit the pillow. It's going to be soft. It's going to be cool. You can sleep well tonight, Husker Nation. But hey, like we said, come back with us tomorrow. Chancellor Brewington, Mikey Daniel, Locker Room 1 to 2 on Monday. Austin Norman, Eric Strickland on the block 2 to 4 on Monday as well. For Jay, for Nick, for Chancellor, I'm Austin. Appreciate you guys hanging with us all day. Appreciate Anderson Ford of Lincoln, State Farm, Vinny Krekak, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Action, AC Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical, Tavern 180, and Tanner's for their sponsorship of our postgame show. It's been fun. Huskers knock off Wisconsin 44-25. They're going bowling, and we're going home. Good night, Husker fans.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free